make an ambush on people, get those early kill points, and you can just continue steamroll on that.
Especially here on Miramar, as we're starting things off with Day 2, Week 2. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. It is time. We have 5 games today here throughout the schedule, and we will be going to game number 1. Game 26 here of Phase 1 for the PUBG Europe League.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to match 26. We still have a long way to go and a short time to get there. But Rich Sims is with me, and
Hello.
we're going to get it done.
We are. By the end of today, we will reach the halfway point. Game number 30. This is a nice way to start.
We've got some new icons.
We
new
do.
icons, Rich.
We have some big icons to be able to see the teams a little bit more easier for those of you watching at home. Obviously, this initial playing league will start in the north and go all the way down south, pretty much smack bang in the middle, kicking it over to Los Leones. So, in theory, no one should really have difficulty. All right, if anyone's going to go towards that western bank somewhere around Valdemar, maybe Monte Nuevo will be a little bit slower. You could potentially see some early conflicts, maybe around the Valdemar hillside, on the dark hillside, but honestly, this should be fairly straightforward. No, but the circle that really dictates the story.
Well, these icons kind of do the job for us. We don't need to explain too much about where they're going, unless, of course, you don't recognize the icons themselves. I know M19 is a little splattered because they've gone for a really wide spread, actually. 2 down towards Los Leones, but where's Elite Player going? He's going all the way up to Graveyard. He's miles away from the rest of his team. We'll see what sort of adjustments they make. The boys on the desk were just hitting on, how kills are counting and placement points and stuff like that. While we're waiting for the circle to pop, Rich, I want to talk about a point that's starting to be discussed. I know Froz is a big pusher of this, and that's a fairly standard circle, so there's nothing to write home about that. So this is prime time to talk about it. And we're talking about meta, basically. How... With the newer point system, which is now in place across the world, which is brilliant. I love it. And actually, I wasn't sold on the point system to begin with, but it's definitely grown on me, and I'm quite enjoying it now. But do we think it can now adjust how people play? Because in the past, obviously, you'd be looking at it, and the points would slide all the way down the table to 16th. Well, that's not the case now, because from 9th to 16th is a big, fat, round 0. So it doesn't matter whether you die in the first phase or die in the chaos that is the 5th phase.
I mean, have to back up and agree with you there, and the fact that having a global rule set is absolutely fantastic. It's been a long time coming, and for a global game like PUBG to be using the global rule set, it's fantastic. It's amazing because everyone's going to be looking at the same thing. For many years now, we've had TOs all kind of doing their own little thing and trying to add their own adaptations to it, but we're using the same maps, we're using the same format, we're using the same point structure, FPP globally. It's a wonderful thing to see, and it's only going to breed a better game of PUBG, like at PGI, for example.
And better teams.
100%.
We're going to see some big step-ups, I think.
When we came into PGI, we had this mixed side of Asia plays third person, more Western-based teams play first person.
Literally did a half-and-half tournament, TPP, FBP.
And now coming into the next PGI, which will be at the end of this year, another $2 million competition, everyone's in the same ballpark.
Everyone's had a year to prepare for this.
And there are differences. When you look at the different regions, there are different play styles. And I think FACEIT gives us first real testament to that and gives us first taste of it. But to kind of touch on what you mentioned, how does it affect the play style? This absolutely benefits an aggressive play style.
Yeah.
Yes, there is that aspect of trying to stay alive because those bottom placements don't give you anything. But that's why it's so key and so vital to make sure you take these battles and you get the points. Every single kill is worth 1 point, but that's it. If you're down in that bottom end, you ain't getting nothing. So why not get involved in fights? Why not try and steal some? And why not pick up some points?
Yeah, I mean, even if you're 7th and 8th, you're still getting 1 point.
Yeah.
So that's 1 kill, that's 1 steal, that's 1 knock. So are we at the point now where teams and coaches need to start considering, is it worth taking the fight now? Because obviously, Froz has been a big driver of this, and they just talked about the fact on the desk that 70% of all the points right now are from kills, which is massive. So, in Phase 1, teams right now, they're moving around. They're going to start looking for positions. We're getting 4 minutes 20. We're going to start seeing Liquid, and actually Navi have started to move earlier on Erangel. They're not doing it so much on this one, but now that teams are starting to center up and look for those fights early on, is it now worth looking for the fight now. If you want that position, someone's in it, you take it, you fight for it, because the risk is not there that you'll have in, say, Phase 5, when, you know, the circle will shrink to a point when you're kind of forced to fight, right? There's enough teams around you. But there's no third party in at this stage. Well, there could be, but the risk is lower.
I suppose there's two kind of sides to this coin, and I was touching on it with Froz. So let's talk about, okay, for instance, Miramar. You've got a player like Wookie Bucky. You've got a marksman who loves the freedom. He loves the open air. He can just do whatever he wants with a long-range rifle and get away with murder. You've got a team like CrowCrowd. And again, we're not the BM here, but we are going to say it as it is. Obviously struggling a little bit so far in week number, even in week number 2. You got to go up against the big boys, and you've got to play with the best. There's going to be a point where there is a few of these teams that will say, okay, we've got a knock on CrowCrowd here. We can see that they've been struggling so far. We know we're having a good time in this league. So let's get aggressive. Let's try and play at them, and they won't expect it. And I think from someone like CrowCrowd has to go back and think, how do we get better? How do we play
around it?
What's the proactive play?
And it's not just CrowCrowd. If you think back to 2018, you know, if you were in an engagement and you got a knock on FaZe, or FaZe got a knock on you, you knew you were in trouble. Yeah, there was that mental aspect. Well, that's going to play out as the season goes on. And like,
literally,
you want to be known as that team that people fear.
Week 1, who would have thought TSM would have happily been challenging FaZe?
Yeah.
Coming into this. In what day and age have we been saying, oh, look, TSM are battering FaZe, job done? It's a whole new ballgame. It's a whole new world. I think for people like
it's a whole new team.
It is. Well, yeah, it is. There's a point that you need to go with. And I think for teams like CrowCrowd, this week is a telltale sign of how they're going to win their position within the first season of the PUBG European Pro League, and what can they do better? How do they adapt for Season 2? Because all these teams obviously be going into Season 2, but it's how you adapt and it's how you address problems, even if it's amongst the roster itself. What do we do to get better?
Yeah, I mean, my point is like, is it, because it always used to be the fable of, you have to be reaching sort of Phase 5, 6 with 4 people. You have to.
Yep.
But now is it worth maybe having 3, and you've lost one in engagement, but you got 4 kills out of it?
You heard that from Ibby, funnily enough, yesterday. I think it was either yesterday or the end of last week, and he's saying, you know, I got over. In fact, it was yesterday on main stage. I got over aggressive. I overextended. Oh, TSM have just unfortunately been smashed into a wall.
Wookie's caught. He's completely. They've actually come straight into San Martin, which is obviously NIP's backyard. So it's a little strange that they've tried to make for this push, and maybe this is the play we're talking about. But I would question the fact they've gone into the city that NIP are in. Maybe they expect them to be rotated by now. By the way, Vitality, they're up on the hills in the background. You can see watching this all play out as well, looking to try and steal something. Monkey, but he's trained up. It's like, I can get my kill stats.
Which is another team, for instance, that's playing something you don't necessarily see it when you look at the kills and the knocks, for instance. But when you look at the damage done, you just got Monkey that is literally shooting everything that moves. Every single thing that breathes, he's just laying down cover fire time and time again. And for a team like Vitality, maybe they're not performing what we expected, but certainly you can see signs of greatness and you can see changes day to day happening, even from week. I mean, yesterday they played a much more smoother game, I think is the better way to say it compared to week number 1, a much more methodical game. There is that aspect of, do you want to give up one player for the sake of a game of chess? I'll lose a player and the opponent facing me will get the frag and get 1 kill, but we might get the refrag and pick up multiple. We might wipe an entire squadron and get the annihilation on them. That's 4 points and a placement jump.
Yeah, and it's a case of is it worth the risk? You can see them going out. NIP. Something we didn't mention, by the way, FaZe, they were down in Valdemara way. They've just finally reached Monte Nuevo. So most of the teams sort of centering up. Navi's actually coming into the north side of Commissara. Looks like they're going to try and get into the top tier of that city, knowing damn well that Digital Athletics will be down sort of the lower area of that city. We'll see as and when they center up. You can see still very much Picardo, which is why Team Liquid are kind of spread around the edges of it. We'll see. Okay, are we going to have a hard shift here, Rich? We've had so many throughout the week, and that's a pretty hard one once again. It's going to pull up, and suddenly NIP's play in San Martin has actually worked out. TSM are thinking, what? Best rotate back to where we started. That's the end.
I think we'll say the one last thing about the point structure, and again, it's amazing, it's incredible, it's done wonderful things for PUBG globally and PUBG Esports as a whole. I don't think it's 100% perfect. I think points and placement still should be weighted a little bit more. Those down at the bottom sometimes don't necessarily have a reason to live, and even at the end you see these players giving up to the blue and committing suicide because they want to deny a point. If there's a point system, you'll always try and way to work it in your favor, and if you can deny a player a point, then why not at the end? You've still got second place. You can't take on a team of 4, so deny them, give yourself up. I think there should always be something to play for if you can get the, you know, just in some way or another, whether that's with a points difference, a minor adjustment. You know, the whole big topic of discussion was the suicide penalty of losing a point if you give yourself up to the blue for no reason whatsoever. Because
it's just not entertaining to watch in the day. I mean, like, think of yesterday, we Raise Your Edge, they won because M19 just backed into the blue. It's like, well, that's great. It's not, it's the least hype ending. You want him to go for that 1v3. You want him to make that plays and be rewarded for doing it.
But the good thing about PUBG, and I think this is one of its biggest attributes, it's like the weapons, it's like the grenades, it's like everything else. There's so many little tweaks and so many unique things you can do with this game to kind of, the old meme was esports ready. You can change things up, even with the grenades, everyone's saying, oh, well, we carry so many grenades. You could look into maybe putting a limit on, you could look at making them heavier, you could look at maybe the bags being limited. There are so many different viable options, and PUBG as a whole, from day one to where it is now, the updates have been absolutely incredible, and the game just keeps getting better and better and better, and so on and so forth. And I think another little few more tweaks, like Season 2, if we see any tweaks, that is, like, there is so much you can do with this esport, and I am so excited for the future.
I mean, if obviously you look at established games out there, you know, everyone's like, Counter-Strike Go, probably the easiest viewing esports experience you can have out there. Trust me, when that first came out, it was not. It has took a long time to get where it is. You know, League of Legends, the same sort of thing. So these games have had a very long period of time. That was a cracking shot from Dimmy there, from pretty long range. Saw a big old headshot come out. That's on Jokers down low. Jokers themselves have had some pretty big success on the Miramar days, triple Miramar days. So they're going to be looking to try and do that. It's D-Mash that just got smashed.
You would suspect that nobody takes this main road into San Martin for the simple fact that you're going to know a team's either set up in the apartment block on opposite side or these little 2 stories where they are. More importantly, it's that ridgeline, that huge ridgeline. Okay, from up on the power grid as you come down, it's fairly open. There are dips and divots which you can use to rotate and get inside the circle. But certainly I wouldn't expect anybody this late on to be using that main road. There is a bit of a choke point. Probably the next bunch of fights, to be honest with you, is more on the northern edge of circle. Raise Your Edge might be coming down and getting seen by Gustav, who's already out on the hunt for TSM.
They're very widespread TSM as well, aren't they?
And more importantly, it's the other team that's widespread to them. Literally on the left-hand side, they've got Winstrike. Both teams are covering a hell of a lot of ground, and if this circle goes away from Raise Your Edge, they're going to have a problem.
You see NIP, they've tried to spread around San Martin, but it's going to be Team Liquid that will benefit. That is a really nice compound on the hill they're holding, but it is going to get pressured from down low. CrowCrowd, looks like Navi going to come down. I think Red Diamonds actually will catch the back end of CrowCrowd. I think they have vision of them as soon as they move a little further. You can see the Knights also going to get pressured. FaZe and the Knights, they seem to be collecting each other this week. We'll see how it works out as it played out yesterday in the Knights' favor.
I think there was also a hit twice by Red Diamonds back-to-back games.
Yep.
Uber will be going on the lead scout here and unfortunately might be giving himself up. There is 2 teams that he will be punching directly into Digital Athletics. Although if he does get the information correctly, the FaZe Clan might be able to come back, and when you've got an insane fragger like Uber, he can answer back as good as he gets, but those bullets are coming from a distance, Lee.
Yeah, there's a tree that's just about covering him off. There's a nade coming out the side. It's Mert that's tossing another nade up. He will finally get caught out. But the support is arriving. Mex is going to drive in, should be able to cover him off. Sixmo doesn't able to convert it. Now Mert has already tossed his nades out. I think he's out of them. No, he's got one more.
That hits the vehicle.
He's going to the left. He's going to the left. He's gone way wide. Mexi looking to try and keep the smoke. Did he just HE nade by mistake? No, he didn't.
No, he's put smoke down, and that'll probably give Mex. I mean, this could be a real bait and switch. Lee. If I was in Mexi's shoes, I think, okay, smoke's down, so he's going to go res. He did opt to go to the left hand. Actually, is he going to push on this? If he does, it'd be a really clever play, but clearly he's got the information that fuzzed in the back lines.
He's got to heal. Mert has to heal. Revive his teammate. That's best along, as I mentioned, Red Diamonds and CrowCrowd clashing. Raise Your Edge, Winstrike, that's up in the north side. we're watching as Narc trying to catch one. Wanted is down. Looks like Dimmy's going to get caught. Mert has actually caught FaZe off, but Mexi will reply back over here. And Mert's going to get flushed out. Sixmo is trying to push up. He's going to confirm the kill onto FaZe and make sure they get that point. So 1-2 apiece, actually, because Uber will get a beautiful death down. Iroh is coming from behind, but he's been caught by Reels. So the Knights catch him off. He was meant to be the backstab on FaZe, and that leaves Digital Athletics in no man's land and, well, looking to be the first team out today.
It's a bit of a feels bad man for FaZe because they got shot from the blue yesterday.
The Knights are pushing the hill.
Happened again. A double drop's also just popped in on the Knights. If the Knights collect the FaZe Clan, that's a lot of points in the bag and a decent position. Maybe, I mean, I'm actually intrigued. The Knights going to push on this? You probably have to kind of kick it around with them because I think they might advance on this one. If they smell blood in the water, they'll advance onto it. They have a decent line on them.
Oh, M19 losing players as well. Looks like Raise Your Edge going to fall to Winstrike as well. But the Knights have engaged. If you can get that on your screens, they're pushing onto FaZe Clan right now. Two of the big invited teams and teams that have been looking for points as well. Raise Your Edge. Yep, they're inside that building still, not going anywhere, boys. There we go. Reels onto ENCE. He's going to push over the hillside. ENCE in all sorts of trouble. The circle. Is it going to pull away from him? Yes, it will. ENCE's going to get caught out, but Reels is going to get replied. Uber going off on one, but he's going to get dropped by Drayden. Mexi, the last man standing, he will fall, and FaZe Clan will fall in 16th place because Sixmo got in his car and got the hell out of there.
Flashbacks from yesterday. Just a third party just interjects time and time again. Not the best of stats, alongside not the best of finish from yesterday from FaZe Clan. Having a bit of difficulty over the last few days. Either way, the Knights, that's going to be good for them. They've got some points in the bag. They'll be able to get them all four up. And more importantly, on the power grid, there is literally, side by side, a double drop.
Yeah, and they're just going to walk straight in and collect themselves.
Position, right?
Lots of level 3. They're happy with that. Nobody's going to challenge them either. There's nobody really anywhere near them because the Red Diamonds and CrowCrowd still fighting. There's a couple of nades coming in. Galaxy almost bled out. That one going to be very close, and it will catch some Senya with a beauty from the window.
That's absolutely fantastic. He's going to go for a second, but his teammates are like, nope, run away from this one. Does the damage. Miracle will probably be able to get in this and at least stay alive. MBS is now doing something to be annoying. He's burning away. He's copped him, Lee. He's burning.
Yeah, he's bleeding out. Now MBS is looking to try and follow this one. MBS was absolutely on point with his nades last week and stepped in really nicely for NIP. But this battle in San Martin, the Jokers are going to want to take a piece of this. Senya just vaulted out the window. MBS saw him drop down, but unable to follow because Miracle was getting back on his feet.
The Joker's yet to get a win on the board, but certainly not to be trifled with, especially on a map like this. They've been performing extremely well with some really incredible fragging power. Jazza finds Chris. Keep an eye on the kill feed. We'll see if that gets confirmed. Actually, yeah, it does, but so do the Jokers as well for the backlines. That's up top.
Yeah, ENCE kind of, it's like a big trade going on at the moment. ENCE and G2 sort of trading back and forward. Team Liquid taking pot shots onto CrowCrowd as they move in. TSM just trying to confirm the final kin. You saw it in the picture-in-picture a moment ago on M19. Yeah, there's Wanderer. He's going to get found out. Gustav will finish him off, and M19 go down in 14th place. CrowCrowd are sending it into a compound, but as you can see by the kill feed, GMT is going to catch them on the move. Meanwhile, the Jokers looks like they've backed away from this fight with NIP and San Martin.
If the Knights win this, I want Dave to ask them, what's it like just walking back and finding 2 drops waiting for you? Because they've collected all that gear now. Na'Vi on the approach there with the grenade. You saw 2 CIS teams going head-to-head. And depending on how this actually pans out, to be honest with you,
we got a 3-way split on the right, and we got a 2-way on the. We got a full CIS cluster actually down the bottom here.
Are going to advance onto both of these teams and mop up.
Yeah, they're coming downhill. You can see them in the background there. Na'Vi and Red Diamonds, they're just going to smash each other back and forth. And the Knights, who've just got themselves that double crate, they've looted it. Here they come from behind. You can see they're just off to the left of your screen. You're seeing Pokemon and Rekran. If we spun to the left, you'd see the Knights coming straight towards them. Or you would see G2, but here comes the Knights up and over their top. So Na'Vi, they came out on top with everybody alive, but will they survive as they get Kramer down?
Kramer the first one. However, Voxic is quick to answer back. The refrags there. The nades.
That's a great nade.
Oh, my word. Reels. Last man standing. He's bailing from this.
Recrent has to get back down. I don't think Na'Vi are going to get anyone back on their feet. Just going to leave these 2. Will they push for Sadovnik? The border is right here, so Sadovnik should be able to get in. I think Batulin has gone to the blue, though. But the Knights,
Everything.
That was something that really should not have happened. They were so well geared for that fight, and it has gone horribly wrong. Real's the last man, tossing an nade, hoping that he can find something on Recurrent. Not even going to reach the ridge line.
That is an absolute travesty.
Is this the Na'Vi that we've been hoping for? You know, for a long time. They've been
It was a good answer
struggling.
to be able to turn on a pinhead and instantly get yourself back into full swing. They didn't lose a single player in that engagement going up against the Knights. That's amazing because they were 4-man stack, pretty well geared. Level 3 gear as well, 2 crates, so well tanked up to take that.
This hillside battle could play out. Vitality, of course, you can see with G2 in the background and ENCE with 4 men standing, moving around. TSM have actually dropped down. You can see they've gone down to the warehouse now. This is where NIP were standing. They're just off to the right-hand side. So it might mean that NIP start to get sandwiched a little bit here between the Jokers. And Razor Edge still just got that one alive. But here comes Na'Vi. Now they've got to push in towards Team Liquid, who themselves had an absolute stormer yesterday. Oh dear, Magister, that's not going to go well for you. And it will be, oh, Empty found Dream for you at the same time. Oh dear, so not good for CrowCrowd.
Easy for Squeaky. Nice clean up. James will hold the front line there with a minute. I'm just about to say, you got to be careful. He stood still for quite some time. Empty finds Alf place in the back. CrowCrowd down in 12th position. More importantly, by seeing Pokemon coming down the hill, they'll at least be able to grab that info.
Yeah, Real spotted off to the left-hand side as well. And their attention was drawn, and they just forgot about James on the hill for a second there. He spins around. He sees Reals, but realizes in a slightly exposed position.
Marcus needs to keep his head down. He's the last man standing for his roster. Let's see if he can at least get them into the top 10.
Look at Winstrike. They're positioning for it as well.
Nade God. Go on.
Yeah, Winstrike, you've got to be careful there. Look at Winstrike in the distance. Oh, James finds it.
You knew
it. As they're taking these shots, Winstrike are getting drawn towards it and thinking, can we take a couple of pot shots on the edge here? But they are getting engaged by the Jokers down low, so can't push too far. That nade.
I think it's just out of range. Just more to their
I was just waiting for it to creep on the right-hand side of the screen. Yeah, just to roll in.
The interesting one about this is this circle particular, is that the middle ground is basically no man's ground, which usually we see a lot of teams just bombing into mid to take a position. Well, in the middle of this, you've got a pretty horrible hill, to be honest with you, and a big old spike coming up out the ground. So everyone's going to more than likely play edge and stay on the edge as long as humanly possible until this circle forces these engagements. The entirety of that eastern bank is flooded with about 3 different teams. Oof. Very messy circle.
Well, the circle's updated. Liquid were kind of committing resources to get Na'Vi there. They didn't successfully knock them down, though. Oh. That's a nice crate.
Wow.
Where's that? That's,
15 times?
G2 could possibly get that, you know. Brexco near that one, as well as Udia's just down to the north of it. So it's possible that G2 could maybe make a move for that, but it could be exposing them.
Back late.
It beats a caught out. This is a battle for position. They tried to reposition here. ENCE are going to come right in behind Team Liquid. They're not going to be expecting this. Here they come over the hill in the distance.
No keep steals that one, and all of a sudden ENCE interject themselves into this fight. 1-2, thank you. Ibi and Samty fall back to back. Mikas cleans up. Miraku, you can see in the kill feed. That's an aid onto Gustav. TSM lose another body. James, I think, might be the last man standing here for Team Liquid as they are getting... Ooh, no!
Up on high. Hello.
That's not the last man standing. That's another man up on the hillside. Comes out of nowhere and supports James. Good take down there to at least buy them some time, but strength in numbers, all 4 will be standing.
ENCE got to be careful here. If they get knocked a couple of times, Brexco's kind of sneaking in behind them. What just happened off the screen there? Did Jempty just wipe out ENCE?
I don't think he's wiped them out. I think he's at least taken 2 down.
Rustaman Tripoli still
Minimum
standing.
of 2.
Meanwhile, TSM are getting naded to oblivion. Vitality are pressuring NIP. All the moves coming out of San Martin. It looks like Vitality going to be one of the teams coming out on top. James trying to push back up. He's back on his feet as he moves towards the rest of ENCE.
It's a one-on-one. It's James versus Rustamar. Excuse me, it's not, because he's managed to get his teammates up.
No, Jempty's down there, yeah.
It's literally now 1 versus 3, oh my word.
There we go, yeah, he's done. Okay, so ENCE will take Liquid down, would you believe it? They look like to be in a brilliant position, and it's actually bought Na'Vi the freedom. They still have 3 back on their feet, and they've got the entirety of the Southern Circle right now in the distance there. Back in the hillside, G2 trying to come back to life here, and Brexco's doing some wonder. They have 0 kills, but they may well collect a couple here as Brexco's just down 2.
Na'Vi have now, unfortunately, run head into the Finns, just lingering on the edge there. Squeaky gets a knock onto them. And that'll be the second knock now, so they have to be very wary of the bleed out time to Dovmic's overextended. You can see TSM trying to fight for survival on the edge of the circles. It does force them in, and they have to run the gauntlet between two individual teams, both of which are staring head on. Shadow's down, he's actually out. I'll definitely get the confirmation on that one. Brexico still taking on
the Jokers could clean up here.
Own.
Yeah, the Jokers could clean up here. They're picking off TSM in the background at the moment. There goes Vitality, and IP have gone down as well. And they're still in this compound doing some serious work.
Very
G2
nice.
go down, and TSM continue to sweep on Rao, but now they have to face the facts that the Jokers will have an angle on them. Meanwhile, look at the circle. It's gone right on towards Winstrike. Nuki's been downed in the center. Timmy will get him back on his feet. But Na'Vi, who've been sneaking along in this southern side, they had to engage with Team Liquid and Red Diamonds, but they've managed to get themselves a pretty good spot now as the circle moves their way.
The spot's okay. They're not in the circle just yet, so they have to make some sort of advancement. Senya, that's a really nasty overextension, is that. He was trying to get sneaky and get an eye line on them in the corner. Instead, he decided to run back to his teammates, which has basically put this into a 2-on-2 engagement. That's a bit of a poor maneuver. If he can get the one tap on this, or at least just do the damage, it won't knock him instantly. Thing is, though, for TSM, what do you do? Once you've finished off with Jokers, you've got to go head-to-head with 3 players looking down you on the side of ENCE. But they might actually get held back by Na'Vi. Na'Vi have got some range. Winstrike have gone into a 2-2 split, which is dangerous, but also really good, because if they win their engagements, they'll have full control of the circle.
Yeah, I feel Na'Vi could just play and sit quietly while Winstrike and ENCE do damage to one another across the field of battle. TSM and Jokers, they're both playing on the far edge of the circle, and they have to move. They're going to be the ones that will fall next. I feel TSM on this move here. Gustav, you can see in the distance, going for it. Winstrike and ENCE continuing this smoke battle back and forward as Gustav tries to get up close and personal. Gets himself one, but he's going to get replied on. Tab gets him down. Kemba around the side, sorry, as Rory will try and push up the hill. Kemba should be able to catch him in the back in a second. And there we go. It's just going to be down to nothing. We survived. How?
Blue's here, though. He can't heal. He's got to keep moving, Lee. The blue will literally confirm it.
How did he just survive that? Okay, there we go. Rory goes down, and Tab, well, Kemba's probably going to follow as well as ENCE trying to pick up as many kills as they can. Winstrike also taking the shots on them. The Jokers will go in 4th place. But now look at Winstrike. They really have a commanding spot. 2 in the center, 2 out wide, with the DMRs working well.
Nuki and Sixu just open up onto ENCE on the back line, which you kind of mentioned it earlier on. This gives Na'Vi a fair amount of time. The only thing for Na'Vi coming into this one, they are absolutely crushed when we look at their gear and their utility. They've basically committed so much in terms of smokes, in terms of grenades, and also gear, their helmets, their chest, everything's going to be battered and broken. So to go up against a Winstrike team, you've got to catch them off guard. You've got to make sure once you get these ARs out, you hit every single bullet. You let Winstrike get anywhere near you, you're in trouble.
But this is another good top 3 position for Na'Vi. They're starting to slowly become more consistent this week, and they needed to be. They were a long way down. Recrent's been found out. Nuki will catch him. That's going to be a finish for Demi in the end. He's going to collect it, and this could be a decent kill game for Winstrike. Looking like they'll take it. Truthfully found out. ENCE will go down in 3rd place. The top team currently continues their form as they get another Sadovnik down, and Winstrike just finishing the job here. Pokemon Lodoy decides to try and take a couple of shots, but it's all going to be finished